All right, we're live. Here's the intro music.
I forget that you're like 2 seconds delayed, right?
Something like that. Everyone, I'm Ryan.
Oh, are you now?
I'm Ryan.
You've been in Germany so long, I forgot, and then you went to the mountains. I guess I forgot who you were. But what I do remember is that I'm Steve, and this is 60 Cycle Hum, the guitar buying, selling, trading, modding, fixing, breaking, reviewing, playing podcast.
That's true. All those things are true. Yeah. I am back. I've been gone for a long time, but here I am. But we'll talk about all that in the what's new later. Yeah. You want to talk about NAMM or you want to talk about the KTR? Let's talk about NAMM first.
Is this podcast a meeting that should have been an email?
This podcast could have been an email. By the way, Steve and I are doing this remote tonight because my wife went and caught COVID somehow in the mountains. We were isolated in the mountains for a week, and we come home and she's like, I don't feel so good, and she felt really tired. I'm like, well, better go get you a COVID test because Henry's starting school.
I know, man.
He didn't pass. I've done all this friggin' travel, and I've passed all my tests. You're
just like, lady, you failed. You are going to be held back a grade.
For everyone that's concerned about my wife, she's doing fine. She's just really tired and run down. She says her symptoms are less than when she got the vaccine. So, she's just not feeling great. And we wanted to be sure and get the tests because we were sending Henry back to school, and we didn't want to spread that around, the second grade.
Yeah, and I don't want to bring that home or bring that to work. So we're going to play it safe for a couple. Actually, I think as soon as I hang out with Lauren, I have to get a negative test and I can't go to work for 2 days.
Right.
So we're just going to play it safe for a couple weeks here. And
it's not a big deal. We've live streamed before. We'll stream again. It's not the last time. We pay $20 a month for StreamYard so we can do this, and most months we don't even use it. So
unfortunately, right now this seems like it's more convenient than me going home.
Steve is in his office right now. You're at your science work doing science.
I'm in a conference room in my office. We have an open office space, so if I was in the main office, which is that way, it's just a bunch of monitors on desks and everybody's out there. Well, nobody's out there right now, but
we should see if your work will rent out the conference room to us, and I can build the set in there. And then there you go, science lab. And then I can be somewhere that's air conditioned, I'm assuming. We lost Steve.
No, my audio's still here. We had this problem earlier.
Just because you moved the damn.
I know. Let me bring it back. I don't know why. I think there's a short in the USB. Anyway, man.
Let's talk about NAMM.
You want to talk about NAMM?
Yeah, let's talk about NAMM. We'll save the KTR business for the second topic.
That's fine. It's a weaker topic. I think we can talk about this for a while.
Right.
So actually, the first person I saw who had NAMM content, which kind of blew my mind, is Philip Carter over at the 40 Watt Podcast. He interviewed Jonathan Diaz. So it's funny because all y'all just hung out at Summer NAMM a couple weeks ago, and now they're talking about how Summer NAMM is presumably dead because winter.
Well, no, it's not dead. It's just all NAMM is Summer NAMM now.
Right. Well, it's not even like technically the first weekend in June is spring.
2022
Spring NAMM.
2022 is the summer of NAMM.
Well, it's the spring of NAMM.
It's the spring of NAMM.
I'm going to be assistant on spring.
Springing back into NAMM. Now, I was actually seeing rumors of this in backstage groups and industry groups a few days before. Like people were saying, like, "Oh man, it sounds like NAMM is talking about either June or even May." And so that talk was going on a little bit for a day or two, and then it all got dropped. I think yesterday or the day before, like they came out with the official announcement saying that it's going to be June 2nd to 3rd or something like that.
Mr. Anderson 59 in the group says shirts are going to be flying off in no time. I will unbutton one button for every dollar sent. I'm just saying.
Yeah, last time I did a live video, what that's a reference to. Last time I did a live video,
no, I know, I watched it, unfortunately.
Someone showed up with their shirt off, and I was like, well, this is awkward. I know how to make it less awkward. I'll take my shirt off. And we ended up with like 6 dudes with their shirts off.
Yeah, that was weird.
Here's my hot take. I'll do my hot take on summer NAMM.
Hot take this, because
spring NAMM in Anaheim. Usually Anaheim is winter NAMM. Winter in air quotes because it's Anaheim. I mean, we have had winter weather there. There was the 1 year it rained really hard.
Oh God, don't remind me. I almost died. You and me and Aaron Abubo almost died.
But the vast majority of time, January in Anaheim is still in the mid 70s during the day. It might get down to the mid 50s at night, but come on.
Yeah, it's nice at night. It's nice at night.
June in Anaheim, it's probably going to be upper 70s, and it's probably going to be mid 60s at night.
I feel like this past June was so bad for us compared to what we are used to that we are being reactionary. But some of the other things I've seen, which are true, is, the first weekend of June is pretty much a week or two after the public schools get out. It's the launch of the vacation season.
It might be the first summer season where there's not COVID restrictions for Disney. Oh, Robert McDowell just super chatted us $20. Okay, Steve,
I guess it's a good thing
at work.
It's a good thing I was wearing a tank top or an undershirt.
Thanks, Robert.
That's all the buttons I got.
That covers our month of StreamYard. Another thing, like, because I've been seeing people complaining about people like cheering for it and stuff like that. Go back to the weather thing. What I was getting at is I think the weather is going to be similar because it's Southern California, June versus January. To most people coming in, it's going to feel similar. It'll feel a little bit more humid. It'll feel a little bit warmer versus normal summer NAMM, July in Nashville, which is like walking through a 90-degree swimming pool. Like, like it's so hot and humid there. And the Anaheim Convention Center, I promise you, is air conditioned. So it might actually be colder in Anaheim because they'll actually turn on the AC instead of relying on it being winter outside. My biggest bummer is that Anaheim sucks and Nashville is way more fun than Anaheim.
I think. So I'll get into that in a second. So first thing, why not Maple in the chat says, new to the channel, is it cool to super chat a random gear question?
Yeah,
I'm just going to say yes. If you want to super chat a question, we will interrupt whatever we're doing to answer that gear question. Because we haven't done one of these in a long time. And we had 2 people have their going away parties today. So part of the reason I couldn't start until 7:30 is because we were at a brewery until I was at a brewery. They're still there. I came back. But anyway,
that reminds me.
I do. Oh yeah. Well, you're going to save that for your what's new. I was hoping you save it for what's new, but if you want to pour right now, we'll talk about it.
What's new. I'm going to have a little bit right now.
One of the things with moving it back to Anaheim, summer in Anaheim, it's not necessarily that much worse than Nashville. A lot of what I have seen in the immediate reaction has been a question of what does this look like? Temperatures, whatever. It's summer. What do the costs change, right? Because winter NAMM, normally it's like $5,000 for a small ass booth, right? That's kind of the accepted. You get this like 10 by 10 booth, it's $5,000 or whatever, 12 by 12. I don't know. I halfway through your video with Colt where he was talking about that, I kind of zoned out. I'll be honest.
Right.
But the other thing that's going to go up is lodging costs, because
Oh
this
my
is at
gosh.
the beginning of freaking vacation season. And
Next to
so
Disneyland. Yeah, like
I don't
every
even,
hotel is going to be fully booked up. Like there's people who usually go to Winter NAMM and they go to the Disney hotel. I don't think that's going to happen.
yeah. So I'm going to say we probably need to start figuring out what we're going to do like soon.
Here's my thing.
Um,
Like, and I think this is the bigger topic here. The why they're doing this is because the showing at Summer NAMM was so poor that honestly it was a bit embarrassing to be there. We know builders like Brian Nutter that actually had what he claimed was the best NAMM he's ever had, and the reason he had the best NAMM as a business displaying there was because the buyers that were there had nothing else to look at. And so they looked at the small builders that were there and they put in orders because they went all that way to Summer NAMM and they had to do something to show for their efforts. Brian Nutter's stuff is amazing, but it's because the Gibsons, the Fenders, the Ibanez's, all these brands were not at Summer NAMM. And so the little guys that were there, because Summer NAMM legitimately felt like a local guitar show that was on its first year. Like that's how small it was.
Yeah.
And I think they're looking at it like there's not enough confidence in Winter NAMM for us to be able to justify doing a standalone Winter NAMM, a standalone Summer NAMM. So we've got to combine them, and hopefully that'll make it big enough to justify it. We still have to see if they sell enough booths to actually do it.
Right. Well, and for what it's worth is I don't want to make this political, right? But I think we have an election and the deadlines when this podcast airs, the deadline is like the next day, right? I think September 14th, we have a recall election. And if we get a new governor, it's probably going to be open season, like COVID will be canceled in California. And if we don't, it'll be same old, same old. So I think from the NAMM perspective, if it's same old, I don't think there's a lot of confidence that we will have the COVID restrictions reduced by January, right?
Sure.
Rick in the chat asked, I don't know if you can find it, but he says, do you think anyone will show up at NAMM next summer? No one showed up for this past NAMM. And I think winter or for Summer NAMM, from what I've talked to people, Summer NAMM has always been small, so they couldn't absorb the hit. For Winter NAMM, I think it's going to be dependent on what international travel looks like, because Winter NAMM, which is now, I'm calling it Spring NAMM. Everyone else is calling it Summer NAMM Junior.
Let's call it Namaheim.
Namaheim.
I think someone said that earlier. Sorry for stealing your thunder. Namaheim is a good thing to call it.
So I think because there's a better international presence, maybe and the June one will be better attended, because especially if you only think there's going to be one. If there's only going to be one, you don't have a lot of choices. You can't pick, well, do I go to Nashville or I go to Anaheim? There's only Anaheim. So either you go or you don't go, right? So the other side of that is I have already seen in one group, I'm just going to say, there is are you in Worship Guitar Sounds?
Yeah.
So did you see the thread about replacing NAMM?
Yeah.
So there is already a small builder.
If they get enough people, I'll show up.
Yeah. So it's interesting because some small builders are saying, well, you should do it at the same time as NAMM, because then people are already going to be in town, so they can do both. But I do think it's a really interesting idea to just pick the last weekend in January and do your micro show then, which is kind of what Paolo does with Deli, right? Like he kind of just does these pop-up shows at what seem like
Right.
random times of the year, and they are like relatively successful from what I understand. I'm not going to
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that they're not because I don't know any better. Um, but I saw that movement, and at first I thought, well, you want to do it the same time as everything else because everybody's already there, and so randos will just show up. But maybe if you do it at the traditional winter NAMM time, that is the ideal time to do it because it's off season. It's off season, but it's in a season when a lot of companies are already used to doing their winter marketing push. So
I
maybe you do get turnout.
I just think the whole idea of doing it in Anaheim at the same time is dead in the water because of all the other logistics issues of hotels and space and everything else like that. And if to find cheap space outside of that like Disney Square area is going to be impossible, which means it's going to be half an hour, maybe 45 minutes away, and no one's going to do that. Back when I worked in the t-shirt industry, we would go to a convention called the Action Sports Retailers Conference. I forget the acronym that they had for it. And people would do that, but it was in San Diego at our convention center.
Right.
And people would rent out old warehouses and stuff that were within walk distance of the convention center for little independent versions of that show. They were like, oh, here's the indie guys. Like you've got all your Billabongs and your Volcoms in the convention center, but here's like people you've never heard of, like 2-man teams making shirts in their basement or whatever.
Right.
That's not doable in Anaheim. It's just not. Like it's going to cost you more to find a smaller venue to host a dozen, independent pedal makers than just, doing the group booth that, Paolo does with the Deli booth.
Right. Well, there is a well, you remember Christina's wedding.
Yeah.
You went to Christina. Yeah, so I would just say like so I would say like that's the space to rent. If you're going to come to Anaheim, like that's the space. I don't remember what it's called. I could probably find it, but that's the space you want. You don't obviously you're not going to an independent launch couldn't do San Diego Convention Center, but if you're going to do a convention center, do that. Somebody suggested in that thread that just team up with the people who do. Well, they didn't suggest this, but kind of implied. Team up with the LA Amp Show people, where they just rent out. They kind of do the Tiki Oasis thing. They just rent out an entire hotel.
Yeah.
And so you go to the Morgan room, you go to the Matthews room, you go to the JHS room.
I mean,
if you stay at the JHS room after hours, maybe you get a Clover pedal because you got lucky.
Right. This is my take on this. And it's because it's the business that I do and stuff like that. But for the cost of a NAMM booth, the cost of organizing something that's going to be in an independent venue that people may or not come to, there's a reason why guitar YouTubers exist. Like even if you can figure out how to make your cost after travel and everything like that, make your costs to do a show in a different city like $2,000, you can afford to send out your pedal to probably 10 small channels. And that'll probably make a better difference for your bottom line than attending one show that's a pop-up show for the first time it's doing it. Like instead of small builders, instead of spending $2,000, find a bunch of small niche guitar channels that can do demos that fit the niche that you need. I'm not talking about going to your Pete Thorns. I'm not talking going to Pro Guitar Shop Andy and stuff like that. Finding the small new channels, like how I was when I was like 5,000 subscribers. Oh
yeah, because you're way too expensive now.
No,
that's what you just said, Ryan. You're too expensive. There's Pete Thorne, and then there's Andy, and then there's me, Ryan Burke.
No, I'm talking about for someone who's got a budget of $2,000. Like I mean, I do have a $200 price tier now for small builders, so I could do that in unboxing. I could be part of that recipe. But what I'm saying is, if you got $2,000, you can get your product in a bunch of videos by small channels or channels that have, like low rates and stuff like that that you can take advantage of. And I think it'll be a much smarter marketing move than being like, oh, we're going to start our own NAMM at a different location at a different time. Like the return on that is going to be, I don't know. That's really speculative.
Well, and some of the things that were brought up in there, and I didn't really respond to it all, is they were like, well, what if we hire our own film crew? What if we do this and what if we do
right?
And that was kind of my thought, is like, well, you can hire your own film crew, but the reality is unless wherever those films are published have a following on YouTube, those videos aren't going to be seen. You're relying on the individual brands to distribute that. You're relying on your own brand, to distribute that, and that's not bad, but it's more difficult. And then you're relying on generating enough hype that people like 60 Cycle Hum or your Reverbs, your Reverb Andy, not Pro Guitar Shop Andy.
That's what people know him as.
Who the hell is Pro Guitar Shop Andy?
Andy Martin.
Your different, YouTube channels are going to say, this has enough traction for me to send somebody to cover this.
Sure.
Because unless you have a following, you're publishing to nobody. So
yeah, and
I don't think that's a bad idea. It's definitely to hire in-house is definitely like a cost savings thing. I just, from what I've seen, I don't see that that's really how this current state of gear demo business works, right?
If you've got someone who works for you and you put a camera in their hand and say, film this event, is going to be cheaper. But unless you know that they are good with a camera and can then edit that on the clock for you, like it's not going to be good footage. Like,
well, I'm just thinking, like, even
if you hire a crew, I guarantee you it's going to immediately be more expensive than that $2,000 like made up number that I imagined is the very, very lowest that would cost you to do a startup show somewhere. Like, I bet it'd be a lot more expensive. It was really tough, but all the points you made, like not having an audience and not having momentum and stuff, is totally true. Like, I was just like my Harmony amp video. I think it's at like 8,000 or 9,000 views right now, which isn't incredible. It's not huge, but Harmony had their own in-house videos, and I saw one pop up on YouTube today. They look like the production quality is much better than mine. It looks really, really sharp.
Yeah, you need a new camera.
What I need is someone on the other side of the camera to make adjustments when I'm on the lens side. But it only had like 500 views on it.
Right.
Because they're a company, they're not a channel. Like, there's very few companies that have an active following on their channels to get the traction that they need for a video to actually promote it, which is why they come to people like me to get traction on their products, whether my videos are good or not.
Right. Well, that's where it's at. And so I like the idea of doing a standalone show. I just, I'm hesitant, and I don't want to get like super involved in it. I think it's I think it's interesting. But I just don't know how viable it is. And so that's kind of the tricky thing about it all, is not knowing what the viability is. And the first time you do something, you just kind of have to jump up there. And there have been, again, like Delicious Audio does standalone shows. There's a LA Amp show. I think there's a Dallas Guitar show. So there are cities that do their stand-up shows. Their standalone shows. I don't know how long it took for those shows to get established, but they do exist, What the hell did you spill the whole thing? You're not wearing a freaking headset, man. All right.
I can hear you. I spilled a little bit of whiskey, not on my computer, but like on the table underneath my computer. Okay. It's on a plastic tray to prop it up.
All right.
It's almost bad. Remember that time I fried my computer? Like,
yeah.
all over it.
So, can you go back up through the chat? I don't know if you have anything
Yeah,
else
there
to
was a
add to this
super
topic.
chat to go.
Yeah,
go
let's
back
hit
to.
that. Let's hit that up real quick.
I think we've talked about NAMM enough. Oh my gosh, did I lose it? Where did it go? Oh, there it is.
That's right. It's at 7:49 p.m. post meridian.
And it's really up there. You guys have been chatting. There it is. I'm so sorry. Why not Maple? We said we would interrupt and then we didn't because we were on a roll and I spilled my drink. Why not Maple super chatted $9.99. Thank you so much.
Damn.
That's very generous of you. Hey guys, so which do y'all like better for drippy tube reverb, Fender reissue take, or a kit like the Mojo Tone? I don't have any personal experience with the Mojo Tone, so I can't speak on this directly. From what I understand, it's the same circuit. It's the 6G15 circuit. I don't know why they wouldn't change the circuit at all, as far as I'm aware. What you get into is getting, I mean, I do this with my Fender unit. You get tweaky, like trying all sorts of different tanks. I just had 2 new tanks show up in the mail today that I'm going to do experiments with, trying different tanks.
Fancy.
I retubed my Fender unit and it changed the sound of it. So I recorded my band's album with a unit that I borrowed from Jason Lee of Jason Lee and the Riptides, and it sounded way different than the unit that I own now. Like there's a lot of variation between these things, and it has to do with the individual components and stuff like that. So I don't doubt that a Mojo Tone kit can sound very similar or the same as one or many variations of the Fender unit. But it really depends on which combination of components it's going to sound like. So it's
right.
There's such finicky units that, it's really hard to predict, is my experience anyways.
Yeah. So the Mojo Tone is supposed to be a 6G15. I don't know if that means anything to you.
No, that is the Fender model.
Apparently it takes 4 hours to build. But I'm looking at their website. I guess the thing that I would say, or I would ask, is you had the NAU before.
Yeah, maybe that was a totally different circuit.
Is it really? Okay, I was thinking.
I had this reverb unit by a company called NAU, which is like a small amp builder. I bought it on a whim from someone from surfguitar101.com. And it never sounded drippy because it wasn't the 6G15 circuit. And when I sold it to someone, that someone was an expert, and they opened it up while I was there. And they're like, yeah, this isn't the 6G15, but I still want it. Here's my offer. And I took the offer. But it was more of like an in-amp sound, like a smoother kind of like non-drippy style reverb. It still sounded good. But if the Mojo Tone is a 6G15, then that is going to be, it's a bare bones circuit. Like it's not anything magical, but the combination of various components can make a difference. So
usually these companies that do kits supplied with premium parts, I'm not going to say Fender's not using them, but typically over the course of time, companies might use what they think of are parts with intolerance, but they're not necessarily vintage correct Mojo hands. I'm Mojo handing. This is Mojo hands.
It's like, like if you get a 1960s, like a 1963, 1965 6G15, it's going to sound different than anything newer, because those springs are freaking 60 years old.
Oh my, they're all rusted.
No, it's the things are different now, and also like it's an Accutronics pan. It's a Hammond pan that was made 60 years ago, and there's component drift, and there's manufacturing drifts and stuff like that. So I think it's better just to use your ears and be like, I'll tweak this knob, I'll change this pan, I'll try this and that. Pans are cheap. They're like $20-$30 or something like that. I'll change the tubes, that's more expensive. But I don't know. The thing with like a Mojo Tone kit is, the resale is speculative.
Right.
If you want it for the experience, like I thought a lot, like it would be fun to build one of those things. But the resale is speculative on them, where the resale on a Fender unit, even the reissues, like I paid $500 for my reissue. Steve just saw the other super chat. I paid $500 for my reissue. I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, and it's worth like $1,000 now or something stupid.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next super chat, and then we'll get into the first ad. What do you think?
Yeah. Wait, which one are you? No, there's one before that.
There is?
Yeah, there's one that's like,
oh my gosh. What? We're getting all kinds of super chats, you guys.
Dude, we haven't live streamed for a long time.
And did you try the Fuzz Imp prize at Gear Street? I'm tempted to jump in a pedal exclusive event sometime. That would be Cool. Justice Gash asked that of Fuzz Imp pedals. I did get to try it. I got thrown in with 5 minutes left on the clock on one of Henning's segments to do it on one of Henning's cards. I didn't know that it was going to be so quick. I thought it was going to have 15, 20 minutes. So I think I actually spent 4 of those minutes on the first pedal on the board. I don't remember what it was. And then I had to breeze over everything else. So unfortunately, I didn't get to spend a ton of time with the surprise. I mean, I remember it sounding fun. It sounded good. But I didn't get to spend real time with it. Thanks for the super chat, Justice. And now for a super chat of $5 from Legato Modi. Legato Modi. He says, I looked at my beehole in the mirror the other day. It blew my mind.
I mean, for you guys who follow this show on the regular, you know that I had beehole surgery not too long ago.
Are you all high and tight?
I'm doing all right. I got a clean enough bill of health from my doctor, who's like, look, man, this is going to take months to feel normal. But as long as it's not getting worse, you don't need to come here anymore. So that's where I'm at.
That's your doctor telling you he's tired of looking at your butthole.
Well, it was nuts because there were 2 dudes who wanted to look at my butthole every time I
thought it was your butthole. Now it's nuts too.
Oh, you know. All
right. This first ad was sent to us by Tom Maxon. Let me pull it up here.
Oh, we're doing this one.
Yeah. What did you think I was doing first?
Oh, I don't know, man.
Oops. There we go. Put them out of order. This is the Acoustasonic Clone. It's funny when the Acoustasonic came out and I did a video on it and other people did videos on it. I was seeing comments all over the place where people were like, oh, I could build that for $40. I could build that body for $40. Yeah, and here's someone's gone and done it. And I honestly, oops.
Spoilers!
I scrolled through all the pictures accidentally for the audio listeners. I'd actually be really surprised if someone could build the actual Fender style body for very cheap at all, because there's a lot of fancy woodworking going on there. But this is a really interesting visual attempt. I think what they did.
It's in the neighborhood.
I think I lost the third image. I had a picture of the back.
Oh, I don't think you uploaded it. I never saw it.
Why am I missing? Oh, there it is. Finally went to it.
Oh,
there's the back. A little sneak peek for everyone. I scrolled through everything. I think they took a regular Strat body because it has the back plate for the tremolo. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't look like the body itself is home cut. It doesn't look sloppy. The paint looks a little bit sloppy. So I think they took a Strat body and they routed out the top. And then they put in a piece of acoustic wood inlay as the top.
Okay.
And then they painted over the edges with that brown paint. I don't know why they chose brown.
But what you're describing is so much work.
It is. And they're selling this for $200. In Seattle, Washington. What they've done here is a lot of work. And I honestly wonder what's in the guts, because they have a 3-way switch on it. So I'm assuming piezo, whatever pickup in the bridge, and the magnetic pickup, but it's not going to have, all the models and stuff. It's going to be just a very simple kind of wiring.
Yeah.
I'm imagining that's a 3-way. It couldn't be a 5-way. The bridge it's a full-size acoustic bridge.
Yeah.
And it's the kind that's like it's got the metal adjustable bridge on it. It's got the metal adjustable saddle, which is interesting. I don't know. What's your take on this, Steve?
I'm trying to remember what the Acoustasonic bridge looks like.
I mean, I can grab
similar?
it. It's an acoustic style.
It's pretty
bridge.
similar. Yeah, it's an acoustic bridge. For $200, I think it's. Anytime I see a neck without some kind of inlay in the truss rod, I always think it looks cheap. But what's the price on this? $200?
Yeah,
I feel like for $200, like if you are,
it's $2,000 cheaper than
right.
the real
Right.
Acoustasonic.
I did look up Acoustasonics are going for like $1,200 on Reverb now.
Ooh.
And compared to yours, you're right, and I think somebody else pulled it out in the chat that like the sound hole is a lot different.
It is a lot different. Like I think that's something that people missed when they were claiming that they could build one themselves. I'll go full screen again. It's not just a hole. Well, it is a hole, but it's not just a normal acoustic hole. Like you can see, it's 3-dimensional. It wraps all the way into the body.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what the purpose is, but it leaves only really about 1/3 of an inch, maybe 1/4 inch of clearance between the edge of that hole and the back of the body. Maybe it's like a Bose like sound channeling concept or something like that, or maybe it's like a feedback suppression sort of concept. But it's kind of fancy woodworking, and I don't think that's what's going on here.
Yeah, it's definitely different. It kind of looks like maybe someone took I just don't know what you would have taken to get here, right? Like, I don't know how you cut that hole, how you make this acoustic, and route that out. Because it looks clear.
This guy is not selling his labor costs. That's not for sure. He's selling
right
the guitar for what he thinks it will sell for, which is smart. I think for $200, I think someone might pick this up.
All right.
I don't think they're going to be trying to fool anyone into thinking it's an Acoustasonic. But I think someone might be curious about it as a project starter. I mean, you're getting a neck. It's some sort of parts neck with split top tuners, and you're getting what I'm assuming is a functional guitar for $200. So someone might look at it and be like, yeah, I'll take a stab at that. I just think it's a little funny that the bridge is screwed down, and somehow they found this old style bridge that has the adjustable saddle, which is what my first acoustic guitar had. My old Honer had that.
Right.
Last one.
I $200. Like if I saw this is where it's like I'm not actually interested in this guitar, right?
Right.
But if
I saw it on the wall in a pawn shop, I'd definitely pick it up for a minute.
Exactly. Pawn shop, guitar show, something like that. I pick it up, and if I like it, I'm like, $200. Like, all right, here's my Visa.
If you're gonna make a guitar like this, why do you paint it brown? So, like, I get maybe trying to do an acoustic wood kind of look, but that's not what that brown looks like. It looks like kind of like a Hershey's chocolate brown.
It feels like they were trying to do a maple top, mahogany back, or spruce top, mahogany back vibe.
They should have gone like red, like Dakota red or something like that. Like, make it more interesting. All right, we've got another super chat from Justice Gash. Between shipping for Gear Street and now I'm on V3 for the surprise with a mini version dropping this weekend. Surprise miniature of his surprise.
Oh,
it's a surprise miniature of the surprise Fuzz. You guys heard it here first. So everyone go follow Fuzz Imp pedals. It's kind of like a muff variant in a way.
Okay. What sponsor do you want to do first?
Let's do Big Ear.
I wanted to say that for what's new because I need to take a
Okay,
leak.
then let's do Chase Bliss.
All right, you do Chase Bliss. I'll be back in a minute.
All right, Chase. This episode is brought to you by Chase Bliss Audio. They've been supporting the show for a long time, which means that you should support them back by clicking the link down below. It looks so stark with Steve gone. Here, I'll go full screen. You should support them back by going and purchasing one of their wonderful pedals. I've got the Tonal Recall right here in my hand. I've got the Red Knob mod on mine, which gives you a lot more delay time. It gives you more clarity on the shorter delays, and it's pretty. I did a really fun demo on it where I hacked up a bunch of footage and did voiceovers over the movie Total Recall, the classic one, not the remake. No one talks about the remake because there's no reason to. Everyone, when they think of Total Recall, they think of the original, which they should. And if you're going to think about an analog delay pedal, maybe you should think about the Tonal Recall by Chase Bliss Audio. It's kind of like a deluxe Memory Man, but with all those crazy dip switchies on the back, billions and billions and billions of possible options to explore, so you can make weird, crazy, blipped out, almost not musical, but definitely still musical alien Martian tones with a delay pedal. Steve's still not back, but I feel like I've run out of spin to put on this pedal. So anyways, huge thanks to Chase Bliss Audio. Check out the link down below to go check them out. Just go look through their site, click all the links, and tell them that we sent you. I wonder how long it'll be till Steve gets back. I'm going to check on the comments. Maybe I can read a few comments. They've been going quick. There's a lot of you here tonight. You guys have been itching for us to do a live, I guess. Are there any mystery pedals on the market where you don't know what they'll do until you buy them? I don't know. I don't know about that question. All right, Steve, what did you do? Are you there, Steve? Did I mute you? Here, I unmuted. Steve has muted himself and now he's left. This is going to be really fascinating for the audio podcast listeners. Oh my gosh. Yeah, great segment there for sure. Robert McDowell is here. He says, yeah. Oh my gosh. Sassy Cat says the Dark World rules. It really does. The Dark World is one of my favorite Chase Bliss pedals. It does reverb. So of course I've got to love it. What is Steve doing? You better have a good explanation when he comes back is all I'm saying. The rainbow pedal is pretty crazy. Yeah, I think that one falls under that question a few questions back. Like, you don't really know what you're going to do with the rainbow pedal until you have it in your hands. And then it's like up to you to decide whether you actually have use for it. All right, Steve, you got to unmute yourself. It says you're muted.
I forgot to unmute myself when I muted myself when I left, and then I came back and I said I forgot my coffee, but then I didn't tell you because I was muted.
You were muted.
That's embarrassing. What's new, man? Or do you want? Yeah, you go first. You've been away for a while.
Oh my gosh, there's so much new stuff. I mean, Robert's here in the chat, so he'll care about this new. I came back from camping, and this was waiting for me.
Is that from Dan Electro?
It's the Silvertone that I played.
Silvertone.
At Summer NAMM, and I gotta say, I like it. Oops. There we go. I like it every bit as much as I did at Summer NAMM. I've been playing it for about 2 days now, and I've just been having a real blast off with this thing. This guitar, it's got a 3-way switch here. Fun kind of like rotary switch, but the middle position isn't a normal middle position. It puts the 2 pickups out of phase. And this first knob right here, count the knobs, Steve. There's 5.
5. Count the knobs, Steve. It's 5. Yeah, dude, you gave me like 3 seconds.
You should have been able to beat me to that. All right.
Thanks for nothing, Ryan.
The first knob is a blend knob for that out of phase, and so it's like a manual, like wah rocker. Like I can make like manual wah sounds, like manipulating this knob. And besides it just being kind of fun to look at,
Mm-hmm.
It's sparkly and red and vintage looking and stuff like that. It actually plays really nice. It's really, really fast. It sounds really cool. It's got this kind of like Dwayne Eddy throwback, very twangy, kind of wretched sort of sound to it. And I just really like it. I've been having a great time with this guitar. So I need to do some video of it soon. It's been blisteringly hot around here, so I haven't been filming all week. But it's on my list of things that I need to film because I've really been enjoying that guitar. And I know I mentioned Robert because he's got one too. I think he's
Okay.
the black sparkle version. I decided to go with the red because I didn't want to go black.
That's
Robert
racist.
says he's been thinking about the Wilkinson Wigsby. I think he means for putting on his. I don't know. I wanted.
Is that what they call it? Is that actually what they call it?
I don't know. It sounds about right. So what's new with you, man?
Personally, I'd rather have a Fender Figsby.
A Figsby.
I went to a show last weekend in LA. Have you gone to any shows recently?
No.
I don't.
I flew all the way to Germany to hang out with
you did. That's true. You went to some guitar shows. You haven't gone to any music shows, I guess.
Dude, did you know that it's lightning right now?
Yeah, that's what my wife said. That there's like thunder and lightning and rain. I don't know, man.
Just sent me a photo. It's bonkers. I don't know how she even got this photo. Let me pull this up really quick. This is bonkers. She just got the craziest photo of the lightning outside. Let me pull it up on the screen if I can.
Sassy Cat says you're running Windows 95. Jokes on him. You're actually running OS 6.
Yeah. Am I all glitchy or something like that?
Whenever you live stream, I don't know why, because you have that extender. We have that extender set up in your house, but your internet's always pixelating you.
I don't know why. All right, look at this shot.
Oh, that's wild. That's from the front yard.
That's from the front yard. She just took that.
You guys see that? You see that garage? That's Ryan and not me.
No, I'm in that garage like now. The lights right there.
You are, but I'm not, because I'm not going to get COVID.
I'm in there in the COVID garage, and that look at that bolt of lightning. That is really unusual for San Diego.
That's a rad picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife messaged me.
I'm not even hearing the thunder. Like, that's crazy.
It's because you're wearing those 6 Sennheiser headphones. We've got so many sponsorship opportunities. Silvertone, Sennheiser. What the hell, man?
Sorry.
You forget how to run StreamYard? So I went to a show last weekend. I posted on Instagram and everyone's like, I thought Ryan hated emo. I'm like, y'all know there's 2 people on this channel, right? But anyway, I went to see
go to an emo show.
I went to May and the Juliana Theory at the Roxy in LA. It was a cool little show. It was neat.
How many times have you seen the Juliana Theory?
That was my first time.
I've probably seen them like 6 or 7 times.
all between 2000 and 2002.
Yeah, just about. Yeah, I had friends that kept dragging me to see them every time they played, and it's like, I just want to hang out with you guys. I don't care about this band at all.
I mean, I felt like they put on a pretty good show, but I experienced something for the first time ever. I don't know if it's an age thing or what. So tell me if you've ever experienced this.
Okay, I'll tell you.
Have you ever gone to a show and felt like your brain was glitching in the middle of the show?
It positively or negatively?
Like,
it sounds like a stroke.
Negative. Did you watch Altered Carbon?
Yes.
Season 2?
Yeah. Season 1 was better.
Sure. But so in season 2, it's Anthony Mackie, and he's going around, and the guy that's played Thomas Jane's character, he's the detective. And eventually the detective becomes part of whatever alien infestation, right? And he's like partially his own consciousness that the aliens have preserved, but he's fighting against the alien infestation, right? In his own
Right.
brain, in his own like alien brain. And then there's one episode where he glitches out and just starts making like this crazy noise. And it's just like he starts glitching and he's like, and then he just goes, and it makes this crazy noise. And to me, that was one of like the freakiest parts of that show. So when he makes this noise, that's like just sounds like a computer glitch. It's just a sine wave.
Right.
So for pretty much the entire Juliana theory portion of the show, there was some frequency
Okay.
where all I heard was a sine wave.
Interesting.
And
so you were picking up the sound in the live audio, and it was freaking with your ears in your brain.
yeah, so I don't know if I was like standing in a node because I was closer to like
Steve,
one.
You're talking about The Expanse.
Yeah, The Expanse.
You said
Altered
carbon.
Wait, was it The Expanse? Sorry,
No,
The Expanse.
Yeah.
I'm getting freaking Joel Kinnaman and Thomas Jane confused, which was a problem I had while I was watching The Expanse.
I was rolling with it, and then when I saw the comment from Jason Welch that you were talking about The Expanse, not Altered Carbon.
Oh, thanks, Jason.
That's
yeah.
What's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
We own Jason the super chat now.
I know.
What if we could do that? What if we could send money back to people?
I mean, I'm sure if you asked him for his PayPal. But
no, it'd be fun in the moment here. Like, oh, you know what? Here's a tip for you, the audience member.
Someone, the Aquaponic One just listened to Sawbones recently. But yeah, it was the weirdest thing. Where for most of the show, and it was only when like when the guitar player was singing, so not Brett Detar, the main dude, but one of the guitar players was singing, I would just hear like it sounded like a glitchy ass sine wave. And all I can think of is, for whatever reason, either where I was standing or the volume or some combination of that, it was just like too loud, and my ear was like, no, I'm done. Like, we're out.
Like some sort of weird shimmer reverb or something like that was
on. So it's like if I plugged my right ear, things would start to sound like more normal, but still not quite right. It was a fun show. And here's the thing.
And uncomfortable.
Yeah. And here's the thing with it, right? Like, guess what amps they were running?
Ooh. Gee, I wouldn't even know where to start. How am I supposed to guess what amps they were running, Steve? Were they running Kempers?
Trick. Oh, well, you're on the right track.
X Effects.
I think they were all running Helix LTs.
Oh, interesting.
Like whatever it was, there were no amps on stage. Everyone was running direct. So whatever this volume issue was. So if I told you I saw two bands last weekend, one band was running a Vox AC30 and a twin reverb, and the other band was running Line 6 Helixes. Which band do you think was louder? I would assume it's the Vox AC30 and the twin reverb. It makes sense.
No, it's the Line 6, because the sound guy is not like, oh, I have to turn down because the amp is so loud. Like the sound guy's not listening to the amp on stage anymore. He's just cranking up the signal that he has.
Yeah,
he's
so I don't know.
His speakers, the sound guy's showing off the house speakers because he can't.
I guess. So there was actually one point where I recorded a song on my phone just so when I got home I could convince myself I wasn't going insane.
Right.
Like, because it's literally the weirdest live show experience I've ever been in. I've been in live shows. We played with a band called The Chemistry that brought in like Bogner half stacks, and like I thought that it felt like, and the guitar players had Bogner half stacks. Their bass player had an Ampeg 8x10. Up until last weekend, that was probably the loudest show I have ever been in. And then that show happened. So
that sound you heard, if it was super loud, it might have just been the plates of your skull rubbing together.
It it was weird and it was frustrating. And like, I would look around, I would look at all the other people and be like, am I the only one experiencing this? Like,
I don't like
am I
it when I don't like it when shows are too loud because you can't actually hear it. It just becomes a percussive thing that you're experiencing, which can be fun for certain bands. It's like every time I
Right.
go to the Casbah, which is a local venue, they run it everything way too loud, and it's like if you know the songs, you know what's happening, but
Right.
if you don't know the songs, it's just like this constant barrage of just. It feels like gravitational distortions. You know?
So and that was actually the hard thing is that this was both for both bands. So this was supposed to be the last year because we bought these tickets February 2020. The 20th anniversary of Juliana Theory's Emotion is Dead and the 15th anniversary of Maze the Everglow. So instead it was the 21st and the 16th anniversary. And there were songs where I knew the songs and I knew where the harmonies would come in. And literally the harmony would come in and it would convert whatever was going on in the vocal range to just a glitch sound. I don't know any other way to describe it. Pick
That's
some
interesting.
mid-high sine wave that's just like bang, and that's all I could hear in that frequency range. I could hear
That's
the
interesting.
drums. I could hear the drums, and I could hear bang and kind of some mud in other frequencies.
I
Strangest
wonder if
thing I've experienced.
anyone else there could hear it, or if it was just a you problem.
I think it was just a me problem because, like I said, I looked around and everyone else was having a good time. So,
Our other what's new, Steve will get to try some of this if I don't spill it all over my computer. We were sent some bourbon by Dan Hopper.
yeah,
It's Hopper,
Dan
right?
Hopper
Dan
from
Hopper.
Basement Guitar Superstar.
Yep. And so he sent it to both of us. He wished me a happy birthday because it was my birthday last week.
Yeah.
Cedar Ridge, Iowa straight bourbon whiskey, aged for a minimum of 3 years. Batch number 0438. It's good. I like it. I think you'll enjoy it too. I've been enjoying this.
Dan says that is one of the most awarded whiskeys on the planet in the last 10 years and a personal favorite from the Midwest. And he
It's very
wanted to
nice.
send it to you for your birthday. So I'm glad you enjoy it.
I do enjoy it. Did he just text you that?
No, he sent this to me a while ago.
Okay.
That's how he got your address. We were working on doing some birthday stuff.
I was thinking about that earlier. Like, how did he get my address? I
Yeah.
don't remember sending it to him. He just sent me whiskey.
Yeah.
It smells really nice. It's got this really great, like, full sinus warmth sort of thing.
That's my favorite part of whiskey is the smell.
Dude,
I've had a
yes,
lot of
thanks.
whiskeys that I thought smelled really good that when I sipped them, they were just a little too much for me. I
What I
really
like to
enjoyed
do
the
is
smell.
I like to pour like this. I like to pour this much in a glass with an ice cube in there and just sit on the couch and watch a movie, and I just sit there and like breathe it for like 10 or 15 minutes before I even start drinking it. Just like just like sniffing it. We should probably do more guitar show.
This is the guitar show, man. It's been like a month, I feel like, since we've hung out. So
Yeah. Do we even want to talk about the KTR? Or should we just do the last two ads and call it a show?
you know what? Here's the deal with the KTR, right? Let's do a sponsor spot here. Let's do a sponsor spot shirt first. I'll do 30 seconds on the KTR. This week's second sponsor is Big Ear Pedals. Do you want to unbox that now? Do you want to wait?
Well, I've already got mine unboxed. He sent me a woodcutter.
Well, I've heard there's like 4 other pedals in that box.
Oh, well, there were 2 different boxes. I haven't opened these yet, but we've got.
Well, maybe we wait. Maybe we wait.
Well, I'm already holding up. I've got a Betty White here and a Black Betty here for us to share.
Yeah, so I think we can decide who wants what.
And then also, there's another box here for you.
That's for me.
Chaka.
That is the Chaka the Chaka Octave Fuzz. We'll do an unboxing in a couple weeks, or
Sure.
like I guess a month when I get back. But I'm really excited about that. Big Ear Pedals. They're big fans of us. We're big fans of them. Go check them out. BigEarPedals.com. The Chaka is an octave fuzz that I don't think is currently in production. Actually, I know it's not currently in production. And in that box, it's a red Chaka. And if you Google it, all the Chakas are red, but that one is extra red.
Mm.
It's like fire truck red, and most of them are more of like a brick red.
Gotcha.
So it's really cool. I'm really excited about that.
And Grant and I are, well, me and Bigger right now are working on an extra special little art thing for a charity thing coming up.
Oh,
so
right. Yeah, I saw that.
keep your eyes open for that. I'm not going to say anything more than that.
I'm going to spoil it right now.
All right, let's guys, KTR, the guy ran out of components. He's going to change the design. Now they're worth thousands of dollars. Who cares?
Yeah,
right.
Literally the KTRs that were on the market for like $500 have all been relisted for like $2,000. It's ridiculous.
Honestly, if anyone pays that, they deserve it. They're a pedal. Like, who cares? All right, this next ad was sent to us by MJ Breen. I never know how to say his screen name.
Mark. His name is Mark.
I know it's Mark. He's in the chat right now. Hey, Mark.
This is a guitar abstract Bickwort als Kunstobjekt.
Oh my gosh.
Is there a description? Hit me with that description.
I don't have a description, but what we're looking at here, maybe Mark can pull in because he's in the chat. It's in a different language, but we're looking at here is a guitar that has a similar art as a canvas that comes with the guitar. And really all we're looking at here art-wise is this.
You know, it's funny that
it's the Tasha Yar chomping monster from Star Trek Next Generation. It's just
funny that you saw that, because what I saw is somebody fucked up a paint job on a canvas and they said, you know what would be a good idea? I fucked up this paint job, so I'm going to fuck it up again.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that worked out really good on the canvas. I'm going to do it on a guitar too.
Lurch Audio in the chat says it looks water damaged, and he's 100% correct, because that's what it looks like underneath my sink right now, except it's a white paint instead of black.
Ew, gross. Oh my gosh. Get Offset. I'm assuming it's Emily. Says the guitar is veiny and I don't like it. Imagine if it was flesh colored. But,
wow.
It is flesh colored. I meant my flesh colored. Oh my god!
I'm sure somewhere out there, someone's looking at this and saying, "It's veiny, and I do like it."
There's, I think that art. I think there's a way that can be done. There's a level of interesting that could be brought into that technique that could render something really cool to look at. But I don't think this is it. And carrying it over to a guitar just makes the guitar look broken. Like, it looks like something went wrong at the factory with this guitar. Like, the paint's just melting and bubbling. Like it was a black guitar and someone sprayed it with, solvent.
Well,
bubbling and melting.
Yeah, and it's interesting, that you say that, because that's 100% it. Like, for an art piece where something is art, like, maybe this is real art, maybe it's not. I don't know. I guess, is everything art? Maybe. I don't know.
If everything is art, then is anything art?
Right.
Yeah.
But I can see somebody putting this on a canvas, especially because it's black and it's like, oh, this is a representation of my soul. But as soon as you put that on a guitar, it's like, no, you just screwed up that paint job.
Imagine touching this. Like, a guitar needs to be touched to be played. Imagine touching it. It's not going to feel good. It's going to feel sticky. Yeah. It looks like acrylic paint, which is just kind of a gummy feeling paint. Art acrylic is not a finish. It's not a paint that you finish a guitar with, because it just feels gummy and sticky. And this guitar looks like it's going to be very gummy and very sticky. And it's got a real heavy orange peel texture to it.
Yeah.
This is not meant to be played. This is meant to be looked at. And it's really, honestly, not that interesting to look at. So what's the point?
I don't know, man. What's the point?
Yeah.
You got one more ad? We got one more
I got
ad,
one
right?
more ad. There's a
How did this only take 4 minutes? I thought it would take longer.
this one was sent by Mark as well. We got a double Mark here.
Elektrische Gitarre Wieg.
He sent this
Sehr
one.
mooi onderhouden Gitarre.
Oh my gosh, Get Offset says that last one would be satisfying to lick. No, thank you.
What?
No, thank you. So Mark sent this one to us purely because it follows my art rules. At least
Does it?
a third of it does.
Okay.
Because this is, I don't know the brand. It looks like some sort of knockoff ESP Dean photo print sort of thing. There's I can't tell the brand at all. But it has these
I think the brand is Wieg.
Devilish skull monster skulls on it. 3 of them, a photo print. Kind of like the skulls you might see on someone's really tacky bowling shirt that they bought at Hot Topic.
Oh my gosh. You buy bowling shirts at Hot Topic?
And it would have like blue flames behind it. But there's 3 of them, and every single one of them is oriented a different direction. Like one is vertical if the guitar is on a stand, one's vertical if the guitar is being worn, and one is vertical if you're holding the body in the air by the neck.
Yeah, it took me like several minutes to figure out what the orientation of the third skull was.
Anywhere, any direction you look at this, you're going to get it. Oh, evil skulls. I get it. That's what this guy wants to sound like. He wants to sound
unless
like.
You're holding it upside down, and then you're screwed.
Get Offset says it looks like Darth Maul. It looks like Darth Maul's skull because it got no flesh or muscle on it. It's just the skull with some evil blue glowing eyes.
Is this episode 1 Darth Maul or Clone Wars Darth Maul? That's what I want to know.
I could never.
Or Rebels Darth Maul.
Star Trek fans.
Did you watch Rebel? Did you watch Rebel?
I haven't watched any of that Clone Wars stuff. I watched a couple of the animated ones. I was like, this is not for me. This is shooting too young. I was in college when that stuff was coming out. I'm like, oh, this is.
I'm gonna ruin. I watched a video on this. I'm gonna ruin this for you since you're never gonna watch it. Anyway.
Man, I don't care.
In the show Star Wars Rebels, towards the end of the show, they have Darth Maul dies in that show.
Well, he died in the movie, and then I know he came back, and then he died again.
Yeah, he comes back in Clone Wars. It's determined that, which kind of makes sense, is that like
taped him together, and he's like, "Here I am. I've got new dancing shoes." You've told me about this before.
Yeah, did I? I told you the whole thing.
Yeah,
did I tell you about his final duel with Obi-Wan Kenobi?
I don't remember. You probably did, but lay it on me again.
So
the listeners want to know about Darth Maul's final duel with Obi-Wan.
So I watched this video about it, and what they talked about was, so there's this final duel, and Obi-Wan. This is all on Tatooine because Obi-Wan's there to make sure nobody assassinates baby Luke Skywalker, and Darth Maul finally catches up with him. This whole time he's been running crime syndicates and all this stuff, and they meet up, and it's this duel next to like a campfire. And it's very like it's almost like westerny, right? It's almost like westerny, like the arch like super villain Darth Maul, who's at this point very unhinged, confronts the ever somehow peaceful, centered Obi-Wan Kenobi, and for their second duel and third duel. I don't know how many duels they had in Rebels.
Are you reading Wikipedia right now, or is this?
I wish. This is all from my brain. This is how I remember this.
This is how Steve puts his kids to sleep at night, as he tells them this story.
And so they eventually duel, and it's like, I don't know, 5 minutes for a children's show. It is a extremely long amount of talking. It's a lot of talking, like 5 minutes of talking, it seems like. And then the duel lasts like 15 seconds. And the basic interpretation of this is that by this point, Obi-Wan has become so centered that he's just this super powerful rogue, like not rogue, but he's on his own. The Jedi Order is disbanded. He's on his own, and he's just become super powerful, super centered, and so he's able to defeat Darth Maul in like 30 seconds. But somebody actually did an analysis of this through like the super dork ass Star Wars lens, and basically said that I guess there's different forms of Jedi combat. Have you ever watched a video on this?
No.
So there's like Mace Windu has like a form that's 100% attack.
Right.
And there's other Jedi that have very defensive forms and XYZ, right? So when Darth Maul attacks, he attacks using the exact same, apparently in Rebels, using the exact same form he uses to attack in Episode 1, assuming that Obi-Wan Kenobi will react to it in the exact same way that Qui-Gon Jinn reacts to it. Except the very deep theory on this is that Obi-Wan's had like 30 years to reflect on how Qui-Gon screwed it up.
Right.
And that's why he's able to defeat Darth Maul in 30 seconds is he recognized this is the Episode 1 opening, and he knew exactly how to defend against it.
Gotcha.
Yes, Craig Lee Flowers YouTube says the description is longer than the duel. It's literally, I watched this in like a 10-minute YouTube video for a duel that is, again, like it's 5 minutes of talking and 30 seconds of combat.
So going back to the ad, Mark says, I was wondering whether you would church this. It has correctly oriented art for while you're playing it, and for while it's on a stand during the rest of the service. That's a good. Would I church this?
Would you church this, Ryan?
You know what? From the distance that I play from the audience at church.
Because your church is so big.
No, it's because like I'm talking about from like 10, 15 feet away.
Uh-huh.
In the front row. I think most people would look at this and not really know what it is. Like, it's kind of noisy. It looks like it could be like a Hawaiian print if you look at it funny. Like,
yeah, I guess.
I feel like I could get away with playing this at church. I mean, I wouldn't want to. It's not my style as far as like loadout, like EMGs and a Floyd and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I could get away with it. What do you think, Steve? Could you play this at church and get away with it?
No, but that's because I suck at guitar.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching the podcast.
Do you want to do a song at the end or not?
Listen, no, we're not going to do a song this time.
All right.
We'll do a hangout here. At least I will. I don't know if Steve needs to go.
No, I can hang out.
I'll do a hangout here for anyone that wants to join. But anyways, thanks for listening to another week of nonsense. We're back. You know, we're not fully back because of the COVID situation and whatnot. But maybe next week, maybe the week after that, we'll do a normal episode again. We'll try to figure it out. But
I think next week we're probably going to do this again, right?
Yeah, probably.
And then we'll see where it goes after that. So if you guys have, I guess I'll see most of y'all in a week, and yeah, let's hang out.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everyone. Stay grounded.
See ya.
All right. And everyone hanging out still in the chat. Here is the join link if anyone wants to join. I'm going to stop recording over here. You can stop recording, Steve, for your audacity.
Joke's on you. I already did.
He did like 10 minutes into it because he knew how bad this episode
was. I was like, God, screw this. This is 394.
Yeah, episode 394. We're 6 away from 400, Steve. How do you feel about that? That's a month and a half.
People have asked if we're going to do something, and I'm just like, I don't know.
I've got a giant box of the four-board pedals over here. I'm thinking about just doing a live stream where we go away. I don't know. We'll do just so that. But
you're saying for the 400th, you want to do that?
Maybe we'll go somewhere and hand them out. Just do a video.
We'll just go to Gaslamp Quarter at 1 a.m. Who wants a fucking Tube Screamer?
Everyone in the chat, there's 79 of you right now. What time is it where
Holy
you're at?
hell.
We had 120 in here at one point.
Why?
I don't know.
This is garbage. You look like
What
shit.
On my side, I look crystal clear, but I believe that I've got 0 pixels left.
Nah, you got like 4 pixels. Oh, hey, speaking of pixels, man, I hate this. I thought about making this my what's new, and then, you know, whatever, I didn't. Earlier this week. Hey, Robert.
How are we doing?
Earlier this week, my daughter came to me and she said, I want to teach you how to play one of my games.
All right.
She has 2 games. She has 2 games she plays on the computer. One of them is called Slime Rancher, and the other one is Minecraft. And so I said, okay, teach me how to play Minecraft. That was like 4 days ago.
So you learned how to play Minecraft.
I've learned the basics of Minecraft, and now after everybody falls asleep, I go play Minecraft for an hour. Like last night, flipping 1:30 in the morning, I'm like, I can get 10 more minutes of this.
It's addictive, man.
Oh man, and like I'm not like artistic, so I don't care about, like, I'm the wrong type of Minecraft player because everyone's like, oh, look at this sick ass fucking mansion I built, and I'm just like, I want to kill something, and then the thing is, it's really hard to kill stuff in that game, so I just end up dying. My kid turned on this cheat where, like, when you die, you don't lose everything, and that's the only reason I'm like reckless as hell. So anyway, that's me in Minecraft.
I was playing Minecraft for a while, and I just got like, I never was, you know, I'd explore, I'd fight stuff, I'd kill stuff, whatever, but I was more into like, oh, I gotta get more diamonds. I just gotta get more diamonds. Build more stuff out of diamonds.
Yeah. And first she's like, get some diamonds. So I got a diamond pickaxe and I got a diamond sword, and I'm like, peace out. I'm gonna go get fucked up by some Endermen now.
Oh, you try to go after the Endermen. I stayed far away from those assholes.
Oh no, I'm like, I got a diamond sword. Like, let's duel. It did not work in my favor.
Can you fight them with a diamond sword? I don't know if you. I thought you had to like trap them or something.
I mean, you can kill anything you really want if you really try.
My son goes crazy in Minecraft. Like, he's building like properties that you could sell for $1 billion, like if they were real. Like, he's
Bitcoin.
Yeah, he's got a architect's eye with the stuff he's building on Minecraft.
Yeah.
It's a little wild. And then he goes and he, like, have you gone into the Nether? Like, he goes into the Nether and stuff like that.
Yeah, I went in the Nether, and my portal is on a cliff. So literally, I step out of the portal and I go like 5 more blocks forward, and I fall off a cliff and die.
Oh my gosh, Lewis is commenting.
I've never played it.
Minecraft.
I haven't played it either. No.
Don't play it. I hate that I'm like into it.
It's a weirdly scary game. It's a weirdly freaky game.
There's some darkness.
Like, it's all just big pixels and blocks and squares, and half of the game is in pure sunlight when it's very cheery, and green grass and pretty trees and stuff like that. And then the sun sets, and the moment the sun sets, which is half the game, there we go. Surprise!
Oh, nice.
Surprise!
Yeah, this is the new mini blackout. Yeah.
When the sun sets, all of a sudden, all these monsters and creepers come out of nowhere, and they just chase you, and they try to get you, and it's there's a lot of anxiety to it, because if you're not prepared, like, you can get you can get like overwhelmed with it really, really quickly. Like, when you start the game, I think this really sets the pace here. When you start the game, it drops you off. You're like, wow, I'm in a beautiful green meadow. Everything's made out of cubes. There's beautiful trees. There might be a sheep or a pig running around. Like, I don't know what to do. Then the sun starts to set. You haven't done very much at all. You got to dig a hole and hide in it and wait for night to be over, because spiders and zombies and creepy things and exploding green guys come out of the woods and out of the ground, and they try to kill you, and you have no tools, you have no armor, you have nothing. It's all very sobering and scary.
Well, I find the worst, the thing that throws me off is, my daughter, she watches all the videos and stuff, and she's like, all right, if you want to get resources, you gotta just you just gotta strip mine. You just gotta like dig a hole 30 blocks down, and then just go out and just start like just go in a straight line until your axe breaks, and then work your way out, or your pickaxe breaks. And so I'm doing that, but you're like zoning out, and you're like brr, 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 brr. And then all of a sudden it's like zombie groans, and you're like, what? I'm in a hole by myself. Why are there noises other than brick breaking? What is going on?
It's a low-key horror game. It's scary.
Lego Survival Horror Edition.
Yeah, that's exactly
it is.
Lego Survival Horror Edition. I played that a lot. I played it with Henry a lot. We played it on Xbox, and then we got it for Switch. I just got addicted to strip mining, and I was like, all I'm doing is just trying to collect like rare stones here.
Yeah.
And I'm not actually getting any real gameplay here other than just me digging a bigger and bigger hole. And so I kind of just walked away from it. I've been playing a lot of Mario Kart on the Switch, though, and I've been having a lot of fun with that. I'm not a very good video gamer with most things, but I'm weirdly good at racing games.
Yeah.
And I'm not a race fan. I was talking to, I'm going to name drop. This is despicable. I was talking to Paul Davids in Germany, and he's an actual racing guy. Like, he showed up with his fancy pants Tesla with gull wing doors on it. That thing probably costs a fortune. But he was talking about how he's into actual racing. I was like, yeah, I don't care about that, but I'm good at racing video games. And then we were talking racing video games. But for some reason, I'm naturally talented at racing video games. Like, I've beaten all the tracks on Mario Kart now, even at 200cc. And I'm doing the online play international now. And I consistently get second and third place. Like, just racing the online community, which is kind of, they're really aggressive.
I've done the NASCAR races but I'm going to age myself. I still got an Xbox 360, not X or anything.
No, I've got the 360 as well. Like, it's barely holding on.
See, I played with the Logitech wheel and the pedals. That's pretty fun too.
Oh wow.
But I used to race myself. I used to build and race on Circle Track back in Oklahoma, and there was about 3 tracks that we would travel around to.
Robert, I'm going to get to you in a minute because you're local and we're friends. Fuzz Imp,
I have your box here.
Maybe Ryan knows you. I don't know. But this is the first time I'm interacting with you.
Yeah.
So welcome. Yeah, man. Did you guys hang out before?
Well, he's going to town on some building.
Yeah. We hang out on Facebook a little bit and stuff. Ryan named my company. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I told this story a few weeks ago, I thought. I didn't name it. I took one letter out of your name.
What was it? Was it Fuzz Pimp before?
It was with an S.
Fuzz Simp.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he was on Facebook asking for suggestions for new names because you were saying that Simp might not age well or something like that.
Yeah, it really went out of favor fast. Like, at first I thought it was funny and I had fans of the name, but then it was like not a thing anymore, and I was like,
yeah,
it's been a good transition though.
Yeah,
it's too memey.
I suggested Fuzz Imp because Imp is a type of demon.
Yeah.
I know that from growing up in evangelical Christian circles. But I thought, like, that's an easy transition. Maybe that'll work, and you liked it, so why not, right?
Oh, you're Justice. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm putting all the parts together now.
Making connections. So Robert,
there's a question for the pedal builder.
Oh yeah, what's up?
Good eye.
It said there's which glue to glue the plastic parts of components to the solder mask on PCB boards.
Glue, or I just use solder. I guess some people do use hot glue to hold stuff in place sometimes. Like I've seen a couple different things. Which glue to glue the plastic parts of components to the solder mask on PCBs? Yeah, I mean, usually everything you do is just soldered to the back of the PCB. I'm not sure. I can't think of very many instances where you would use an actual glue.
I have seen hot glue used before, but I never.
Yeah, no, you do for something.
I never took a moment to be like, oh, why did they use that? What are they holding there? I'm just like, oh, I don't know what I'm looking at inside this pedal. I'll close it back up now
before it breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is all getting replaced. This is all going to be one cohesive circuit board. There's a lot of onboard wiring here. I just got the design, or offboard wiring they call it. I just got the design done this weekend from my designer, so I won't have the boards for a week. And this is the promo thing. I'll be shooting videos with this tomorrow. I have a new thing coming out tomorrow I'm really excited about, but yeah. No, I was hanging out and I figured why not jump in and
of course
see how the
how long have you been at it? Like I feel like I've seen you popping up like all over the place in my feed, at least in the past, like this year. Like this year, right?
I didn't start building pedals until January. I hadn't built a pedal before that.
I nailed it. It was this year.
I used to do demos is what I did. I was like an amateur demo guy, demoing pedals.
Gotcha.
Just like
for
Ryan.
Small builders. Not quite as much as Ryan, but
Ryan's barely an amateur.
Now, were you doing this on a limited basis before, and now you're doing it full time?
Yeah. So I've been building pedals full time since late March.
Wow, you got it into it quick. So you're doing it. You started in January, and now you're doing it full time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's about 500 of my pedals in the wild between both companies already.
That's a lot of pedals to build in a year.
I have active orders right now. I don't want to say how many are in process right now, but there's a lot.
You'll get to them soon, guys. Don't worry.
That's basically. I did have to have a little departure. So summer sales are really slow. So people don't buy, especially small builder pedals, as much during the summer months. And so I had to go back I used to work in construction, building cabinets for houses. And so I did, I went back to that for a couple weeks, unfortunately. But yeah, I build full time when sales are good, which has been most of the year. I had a pedal called the Shroot that did really well. I sold a lot of those.
That's the one you were holding up.
You do this all yourself?
Yeah. I have. Wow. I've had a lot of help because of the community of people that I did demos for. I had these resources that, like, somebody starting from real scratch probably wouldn't be able to make some of the connections as quickly. Like I bought PCB designs, I think, my second week of making pedals, like original ones.
So you jumped right into it.
Yeah, I do pretty much what I was going to do with it. I think what happened is, so I had a roommate for a long time at one apartment, and then like he suddenly decided to move to Texas, and I had to come up with the income to support a place on my own. Mm-hmm. And I already knew like the market for small pedals, and so I got into it right away. So yeah, that's basically, I was motivated to start selling right away, but I probably jumped in a little too soon, but I figured it out after a little bit.
Gretch Zeppelin in the chat wants to know if you have ever lit a joint with a soldering iron.
No, but I've almost taken my eye out, and I've gotten some good burns before. That's for sure.
Can you light a joint with a soldering iron? I'm sure someone out there has the answer.
I mean, that kind of.
I can't say.
That kind of feels like it's in the
660 Fahrenheit. I think that's hot enough to light stuff on fire.
Yeah, that feels like it's in the Meet the Parents, like If it's got nipples, you can milk it.
It does seem like one
I've
of those
got nipples,
scenarios.
Greg. Can you milk me?
You know what?
We'll take a piece of paper and see if I can catch it on fire with the soldering iron.
Oh, here we go. This is hot content.
We could prove on stream if it's possible or not. But this is not an actual. This is just a piece of paper that had a bomb on it. Well, I live in Oregon anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Facebook censors. No drugs are being done in this video. It's just paper, okay?
This channel is going to get banned in the state of Florida.
Florida guy accused me.
Hey, Steve, did Ryan tell you I got you a little PCB or holder for when we build ours?
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
he didn't.
You didn't relay the message, Ryan.
Damn it, Ryan.
Sorry.
Well, he was on vacation. It was like we haven't been able to hook up at all because just before he went on vacation, my wife and I went up to the Central Coast. To Big Sur, things like that. Just I had a great time. Saw this mansion that I think I wanted to buy. It was on auction for her birthday. And she says, "You're going to buy it for me?" And I says, "Well, it'd be ours for about 10 minutes because nowadays you can't write a check in even one day." But it went for $6.5 million because I kept an eye on it.
No light.
I even turned it up as high as my iron goes, which is like 1,000 Fahrenheit. And I figured that would be enough. I think it's because of how it conducts the heat and it's just the way that it works. It just doesn't. There's no flame, so there's nothing to really ignite. So there you go. That's the answer. Science.
That's theory. What is the ignition temperature of a cigarette?
What does it take to light? How much heat or flame or heat? I guess.
I know that one, but
to light a cigarette. Because remember, back in the old days, they used to light them from the top of the lamp, the oil lamps. Didn't even have to have a flame to it.
Okay, it says the temperature of a lit cigarette. It's not saying how much it is to light it, but of a lit cigarette without pulling air through it. I love that just gave me this answer. Is 752 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
So if you're theoretically, that is possible.
It is possible.
I should know that because I just quit smoking, and
I wonder.
This Sunday will be my 5th week.
The temperature while pulling air through it during drawing. 1,292 degrees Fahrenheit. It gets hot.
I wonder if it's a function of you can't just light a paper on fire with a soldering iron. Maybe you actually need some dried up leaves of some sort and a draw. You need to be pulling some air through that while you do it.
But I definitely am not going to do that on stream. I have smoke in my pocket, but lighting smokes with my soldering iron does not sound like a good time in the apartment this evening.
Well, especially if you solder the way I solder, you've always got at least a little bit of tin on the tip, which means you're going to be sucking in some of that off gas off of your solder itself.
Yeah, what's worse, burn off from solder or actual nicotine?
Just take a big lungful of resin core first, right?
This is some 60-40 flux, some rosin flux.
No, I use real leaded. I actually should be running my fan, but I knew I'd be using the microphone, so I turned it off. But I figured it was just enough.
We're not recording right now, so
no. Yeah, it's just it's all I have is a big fan, and so that's why I was like, I don't want to. It's not too bad, but it was just enough. I didn't want to disrupt the stream. But no, it's good times over here. This is what I do. Usually, cool. I like listening to audiobooks. At first, I used to watch Netflix, but then it got too distracting. So eventually, I had to switch up my content.
And now you're here. I'm sorry.
And now we're here. No, there's a certain like stuff with dialogue that you can kind of keep in the background.
Yeah, totally.
Makes a lot more sense. Like podcasts, audiobooks, that kind of stuff works a lot better. Or just straight up like rock music or whatever your flavor is. It works really well, actually. So you think of it like anything, like cooking, baking, coding, anything. You know, that's the kind of stuff that's good for building pedals. You don't want anything too distracting or you start making mistakes.
Oh, totally.
But like right now I'm doing stuff like I'm loading up foot switch PCBs, so I don't have to really think about it. I can hang out and not really have to put too much effort into what I'm doing. But I have to accomplish something because it is a working hour, so it is what it is.
How much time a day, like you said you're doing this full time, how much time a day do you just build? They just build pedals.
So I try to be in the bench by like 9 or 10 a.m. and then I take breaks. I try to get everything out as much as possible by 5 p.m., which is the cutoff for my post office. And then after that, I kind of take a break for like 2 hours. I basically work from like 10 to 10 with long breaks in the middle whenever I feel like it.
Damn.
So you're working, you
set up in stages, right? You do a whole bunch of certain things at one time and then doing the next step.
Yeah, and I'll do stuff like
right now.
Yeah,
it's full time.
My output, if I'm doing really good, is like 25 pedals a week.
Wow.
So
that's impressive.
There's some builds. Yeah, thank you. No, I make a lot of pedals. I wish I could make them faster sometimes, but I've got some. Oh, we were talking about the KTR thing. Did you catch that John from EAE did the revamp on that?
No.
He helped revamp he was talking about it in some of the Discord groups, what specifically he did, but Bill reached out and they worked together to find the circuit tweaks and the replacement diodes. And he said that it took like dozens of hours for them to finally get it all done.
That's really his specialty. The real John Snyder, as he is affectionately known in some circles. But he's done a lot of like John Stockton work for you sports fans out there. He's always up for the assist for a lot of builders. So I know he's done a lot of work with Caroline, from what I understand.
There's a lot of that goes on. Like I've said this, we've said this so many times. It's like, it's so funny to see people in forums and groups that are just like, oh, I like this brand, but not that brand. And they don't realize that people are collaborating cross-brand all the time in this industry. Like people are designing circuits for each other. Like people that you hate are designing circuits for people that you like. Like it's really futile to like think that you have, you know, dedicated fandom or hate towards any one builder or another, because they're all collaborating together. They're all working with each other. Maybe not all of them, but it's incredibly common, and it's all going on behind the scenes. And I honestly think it's beautiful. It's a really beautiful community and scene. Like I've never been part of anything quite like this industry. Like it's very positive. It's really weird, honestly.
Yeah.
You'd think it'd be a lot more aggro with the type of like personalities you expect out of musicians, but it's not that at all.
No, it's a good industry. There is some infighting as you get on the back end. Certain builders have opinions about certain people, but generally it is a very open community where you all communicate and talk. And even though I'm kind of at a lower level, I've been able to talk to people at kind of the more, like they're the next step up that I want to be, like go from the S tier to the C tier, or however the tier list works.
I've been hearing people say S tier a lot, and I honestly have no idea what that means.
I think that's the bottom one, and then there's like it goes like B tier, C tier, or something, and then there's like
it doesn't make any sense to me. What do these letters mean?
I think it depends on the system. S tier is usually the top tier.
Oh, okay.
S tier is like the superhero tier. So
you were talking about this with One Punch Man.
One Punch Man uses this tier system. So it's like DC, DC, B, A, and then S is like above A.
It makes no sense.
Oh, weird. Yeah, no, it definitely doesn't make any sense.
So in like
whatever happened to A, B, C, D?
Right.
Yeah, so like in this tier, in like this business of pedals, right now, you know, if you eliminate like the companies where you don't know anybody's name, right? You know, your S tier is your Josh Scotts and your Robert Keeley's of the world.
Somebody says from fantasy football. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I've actually never heard it in fantasy football, but it's I can see it applying there. If you're, you know, your Ezekiel Elliott is an S tier running back, I guess, and then you know, whatever. Greg Louganis, Ryan, is your S tier high diver.
Oh.
That's a really old joke.
I don't think I caught any high diving. Well, I caught a little bit of high diving, and we didn't joke about it at all in the past Olympics.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, you can apply that tier. I think it's very much like a weird thing that's kind of passed over to the general world, because I play a couple online games where it's like the S tier is always changing, but sometimes those call it like your god tier characters,
right,
and then your A level is like demigod characters, and then mortals, various levels of mortals. Who wants a mortal? Mortals are dumb.
So back to racing. Robert was saying that he's done actual racing. I've been doing a lot of Mario Kart racing. I want to know, like, when you're doing actual racing, when you go into like a power slide and then you hit a ramp and you double jump, do you get a boost of speed off of that when you're doing real racing?
Only if you hit the button and fart at the same time.
And when you do real racing, do you go for like a heavier weight class, or do you go for like a lighter weight class for like more maneuverability?
No, I heavier weight.
Heavier weight, always heavier weight.
Stability. If you can make a car handle in a turn straight away, that's the easy part. You know, anybody can make an engine go fast, but it's the being able to make a car handle in a turn, and that's the hard part.
Getting it to stick to the road when you're
exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things you have to look at between spring pressure, camber, caster of the tires, how much weight's going into a turn and applying, and then of course you're trying to use a temperature gauge across your tires, inner, middle, and outside, to try to get all the temperatures even across. That means you're getting full traction.
Are you monitoring the temperatures from the car while you're racing of the tires?
No, you're taking a guess. You go out there and race a little bit, come back, and then you take your tire temperatures to kind of get a gauge. Because most of this short track racing we're talking about, you have heat races, and then you have main events. So by doing a couple of the heat races or trophy dashes or something of that nature there, depending, because sometimes they're only 5 laps, then they're 10 laps, maybe they're 15. And then you learn how to gauge how much tire pressure has to be either increase, decrease. So it helps for the longer, maybe 30, 50, 100 lap main. So it's a lot of guessing games. Sometimes it works out. Temperature on the outside, it makes a big difference in what the track temperature is. Do you start earlier in the day or something? But so there's a lot of calculations to it, but it was fun. God, it was a great hobby.
I wonder if I've ever played a racing game that has temperature information on it, and I just never conceptualized why it was telling me the temperature of things.
A lot of the NASCAR portions, you can adjust your car to a lot of that stuff.
Wow.
The more you know.
Yep.
Yeah. After I'm done creaming my family at Mario Kart, I'm probably going to try to seek out a better, more advanced racing game on the Switch. I don't know if that's a thing on the Switch, but yeah, I really enjoy racing. It's kind of zen for me. Like, I sit there and just kind of zone out, and I just like kind of do my thing and bob and weave, you know.
I know.
You need to find and unfortunately it doesn't exist on Switch. But you need to find like a real racing game.
Right.
Because I know you're talking about that, like literally.
Well, Mario Kart is funny because it's like I've discovered that the most overpowered like characters to play as are the variants of Baby Princess Peach.
Oh my god!
Like, if I want to get into like some really more intense racing on there, I'm on 200cc. I'm using Baby Princess Peach on a little like Vespa scooter with the right wheels, and that's the one that I can really rip around on. But I used to do like the Need for Speed games on PC back in the day and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
It'd be all sorts of different fancy cars. I mean, it was the early 2000s when I was doing that. Like it's been 20 years.
Well, because I'm thinking of like I used to play Gran Turismo and Gran Turismo 2. I don't remember what the first one did, but at least Gran Turismo 2 had an endurance league, and literally there's like races in there where I would start them at like 8:00 at night, and I would do it for like 2 hours, and then I would pause the game.
Wow.
And wake up in the morning and do another 2 hours. Like,
have you ever seen the driving simulator that Penn and Teller put out?
Oh, I want everything about that. Sounds like something I need to do.
It is.
I am not familiar with this.
It is a driving simulator where all you do is drive from Las Vegas to LA.
You mean like a trucker?
Yeah, you just drive from Las Vegas to LA, and that's it. That is the whole simulation.
That sounds very on brand.
Right.
F you to the audience kind of.
And it's just a really long, boring drive. There's no real scenery. It's just like, here's a simulation of the roads that you would be on.
What a trip.
Don't forget the wiper blades.
Right.
Oh, we're going through rain.
Tender Stems knows what it's called. It's called Desert Bus. It's a bus simulator.
Oh my gosh.
My dad used to be really into Flight Simulator on our very old Windows PC. Like this is 1990s.
Yeah.
There's like 4 polygons in the entire game. But he used to be really into this Flight Simulator, and it gave you like a full like control panel readout from each model plane you were flying. But what you were looking at scenery wise is like, okay, here we are. This looks like San Diego because there's the shape of the coastline. It is all green. There's the airport. It is 4 rectangles.
Yeah, you could see the Strand or North Island or something like that.
Right. But it was it was not photorealistic at all. There were a couple buildings in it. Like they're very proud of the buildings that they could put in, but there was all just gray rectangles with no textures or anything like that. But he would just sit there and flight simulate for hours.
People love that stuff, man.
There was there was another one, Flight Simulator, and then there was X-Plane, which I thought that the X-Plane had a lot more detail to it. Well, but you remember shopping at the Fry's, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever walked into their computer set? This was about a couple of years ago. It's not as great as it is now, but they used to have a full.
Fry's is closed now.
Yeah, no. Yeah, this was. I'm talking. This was like 3-4 years ago, but they used to have like a 4-screen setup of a flight simulator down there, so you could sit down and try it with the yoke and the rudders and multiple throttle controls, and they had all kinds of stuff.
My dad was a software engineer. He's retired now, but he was a software engineer, and he did a lot of like Navy projects. Like he helped develop like this sonar box that's on all the submarines and stuff like that. And one of the places he was working at when I was a kid did airplane stuff, did fighter jet stuff. And he brought home the software and put it on our computer. And I had figured out enough to, fudge around in MS-DOS and get into the programs and stuff like that as a kid. And so I was playing this flight simulator that he had on the computer, and I thought it was a game. And I realized later when my mom took me over to his office and we got to see the office, it was a military flight simulator because they had the full setup there to actually use it. But it was also early and rudimentary. It was very cartoony and bright and stuff like that. But you flew around, like F-14s and tried to shoot missiles at MiGs and whatever. And I was really frustrated because you could never actually land the plane. And every time you tried to land, it would crash. And once I went to the office, I realized why. Is because you have to have a full freaking cockpit control to actually use the actual game. So like you can take the plane off, you can steer it, you can shoot missiles, but you're missing all the throttles, you're missing the landing gear, you're missing all the controls to do this because it's not keyboard controllable. It's you have to have
you're missing your flap. You're missing you're missing probably a lot of your instruments so that you can set your courses and your glide slope settings and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
There's all this complicated stuff you could do with it, but I was just like taking off, zipping around, shooting off flares and, shooting down MiGs and stuff. It was fun. It was a fun flight simulator. It was way better than Microsoft Flight Simulator at the time. Stuff would blow up. It was cool.
Got to get you in a one of those full motion simulators.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
When my wife and I got married initially, when we moved back to Altus Air Force Base in Oklahoma, I was able to get her into the 141 simulator. And
cool.
So it was full motion, full everything. So yeah, we had a good time with that. She didn't want to sit in the pilot seat. She just wanted to go along for the ride. But then up at Miramar, she was able to do the full 130 simulator.
Oh, nice. We got Elad's joining. It looks like he's driving.
Elad's from Gear
and
Ant.
His microphone is muted.
There you guys follow Gear Ant on Instagram. He does some sick work on refins and some upcoming pedal designs. So,
sick.
Hey, Justice Pino designed your headphones. I designed Fuzz Imp's headphones. Not my best work.
Oh, you know what?
But they actually sound decent.
These might be V1s. These are super old.
Ooh.
They're V1s or V2s. I bought them because they were on clearance at the time, and I've had these for 8 years, and they still work. So I like them because the cups are huge and they're semi-open back. So for listening to stuff, they're actually really cozy.
Nice.
It's one of my favorite purchases. You ever buy something and then it's like 5 years later, you're like, hey, that was a good thing that I bought. This actually is going all right.
Can't say that always happens nowadays.
I use Sennheisers for the podcast, and they were really expensive for me anyways. They were like $300 or whatever for headphones. I've never spent that on headphones in my life, but I'm really happy with them. Like they just do the thing, they just do the thing.
Right. There's so many things in life like that. Like right now I'm debating upgrading my iron to like the industry standard one. I still use Amazon like $10 ones because that's what I learned on. So right. I keep buying them because they're only $10 instead of $150 for like the industry standard one. But I think I'm coming around.
The first iron I ever had was this Radio Shack iron, one of the ones that had like the pistol grip on it. And
with the little light on the bottom.
Yeah, mine didn't even have the light. It was just black plastic with a pistol grip. And I was like, why does my soldering suck so bad? Like I'm just like gooping like metal on, and it's just like I'm using a putty knife with this thing. It's awful. And then I realized the thing didn't have enough watts. It was super low wattage. And the moment I got, instead of spending $8 on a Radio Shack soldering iron, I spent $15 the next time. And I was like, holy hell, it actually melts the metal instead of just gooping it. So I had all these guitars that I just gooped gobs and gobs of solder into when I was first experimenting, and it's embarrassing. Every now and then I pull out like an old pick guard that has soldering on it, like, oh my gosh, look what I was doing. And it was just the wattage was wrong. It wasn't my skill, it was the tool was the wrong thing.
Yeah Elon, what the hell are you doing?
Coming up from work, sorry.
I thought
know what I was getting into.
I thought New Yorkers didn't drive. That's the whole thing. It's like it's $200 a month for a parking spot.
He's driving the subway right now.
I work in Jersey, so a company got me a car. Yeah.
At 12:30 at night.
12:30. Yeah, we're having major problems.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. Grant, we talked about this before, but Grant sent me the screenshots of that gold Albie. It's a little spoiler for you guys hanging out tonight. I got a gold Albie on the way, and Grant and Karen over at Big Air spent a few months trying to figure out how to do a gold finish, and they couldn't get it to work, so they sent it over to Elod over at Gearant to take a pass at it, and I've seen the pictures, and it looks really good.
Is it powder coat, or you put like an actual paint finish on it?
No, I don't powder coat anything. Everything's spray painted by hand. Everything's done by hand. Well, it's not only spray paint. I do all kinds of stuff. But
yeah. Checks out.
The gold I've been working on for, I want to say about 6 months. I couldn't get it right.
Jeez.
Couldn't get it right. Gold is hard.
You use one of the
I've tried it a little bit. Yeah,
it's airbrushed.
No, it's
really full spray.
Yeah, full spray.
Wow.
Spray, bake, so on and so forth. Hold on.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm actually pivoting away from that and focusing a little more on pedal design, of course. But I had this idea for a pedal, and apparently it existed, and Ryan and Steve actually made it. But I spoke to Ryan, and Ryan's like, dude, go for it. So, I'm putting my own spin on it, and that's actually part of the reason why I was at work late. So, I was working on the schematic.
Yeah.
So, Ryan and Steve, you guys developed your own pedal?
Well, I mean, that might give you some idea of, I wouldn't say we developed a new pedal. It's just, if you know what pedal we have out there, you might have an idea of what what Gearant has been working on.
Okay.
Well, it's no secret. It's not a secret. It's it's a highly modified version of two DoD 250s side by side stacked.
Oh yeah.
But the difference with me is I'm old. I'm easy. I need two knobs to do this, and that's it.
He's old. I'm old.
I'm old enough to not try to even attempt to understand something like an HX stump. So no menu diving for me, no toggles, nothing like that for me. Two knobs, that's it. So you have two gain knobs, two volume knobs, and that's it. So, been working on it. Had some bumps in the road, but actually Grant helped me out with last week with something. So I think I'm making pretty good headway.
I tell you, Grant is some good people.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, I'm we talked about it earlier. I got a couple pedals. Grant, I'm at the point right now where Grant goes, "You're like, I'm playing Pokemon with a couple different brands, with Caroline and with Big Ear," and so every once in a while Grant goes, I found a PCB for this pedal we haven't manufactured in 5 years. Do you have this? And I'm like, nah. He's like, all right, cool, I'm building it. Like, all right. You do you, man. I'll take it for sure.
I'm back.
Yeah, the stuff that he does completely boggles my mind. Like, I don't know if you've ever looked at the inside of an Albie, but that takes some serious work. Like, a lot of programming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He worked on the Albie. He was talking to me about it for I think a year and a half. Like, it was in development for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not a long time. Maybe that's short, but I feel like for most pedals, most pedals out there are like fuzz and overdrives and stuff like that, in the smaller builder scene. Like, I feel like that stuff has got to go a lot quicker than a year and a half development wise.
Yeah.
Well, didn't Copper Sound work on their triple grab for what, 3 years or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
I know they just talked about it on. Alex was on the 40 Watt podcast with Phil Carter.
Steve's been listening to all the podcasts.
I've been listening to a couple podcasts. I feel like I'm behind. Plugman asked in the chat, how difficult is it to even build pedals? I have built.
That's the short version.
I work. Apparently, I'm
what
just a dumbass then.
No, so there's two things. There's a really steep learning curve at the very beginning of learning to build pedals, where if you don't understand some basic principles of how electricity works, like I had to start like ground zero. Like I barely knew
ground zero.
It's a good joke, because learning how grounding works and signal flow. There's some stuff that there's not a lot of hand holding even in the DIY scene for the very beginner stuff. So you have to watch some videos and learn a couple things.
I don't know if I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
I think it's really easy to dip your toes in pedal building. Anybody that wants to try can go and buy a kit. Even on Amazon, I mean, they're pretty much garbage, but let's say BYOC?
Yeah.
They sell pretty decent kits, and it's full on hand holding. Yeah, so I mean that's hand holding. They show you even how to solder, what's a good solder joint, what's not, and so on and so forth. So anybody, if they have the urge to learn, can come out with a pretty great pedal, the first time out.
Yeah, that was my problem. My first kit worked, and now I started a pedal company building Fuzz.
I tried to build a General Guitar Gadgets tremolo. The boost, the preamp side of it works great. Ton of output. It's actually like the hottest boost pedal that I own. It's so hot I don't use it. The tremolo side doesn't work at all. And then I tried to build a ring mod, and the ring mod side, when it's engaged, it sounds great. The problem is it bleeds to ground. So even when the pedal's turned off, it's still you still got a ring mod going on.
To it. Yeah.
It's a very faint, but it's a bleed. So maybe I just suck. I've modded 3 or 4 DS1 successfully, but
I still don't know what happened to my DS1. I think you gave it, you let someone take it home at the 300th episode, which is 2 years ago.
I don't know, man. I let someone take it home. I probably said, "Hey, ask Ryan," and you're like, "Whatever."
No, my vague memory is you coming in and be like, "Hey, mind if I loan this out?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And I don't remember who you loaned it out to.
There was only like 6 people there.
Yeah.
So either RJ has it, Brian has it, Kyle has it.
I think it's Brian.
Sean has it. It's one of those guys.
I did a trade with Sean at that
time. Sean, maybe Sean has it. I don't know.
I think it was Brian or Kyle, because we assumed they'd always be like.
I'll send you a DS1. I have like 30 of them right now, so I'm sure I'm gonna have 1 or 2 left over.
Aaron says he doesn't have it, so we didn't loan it to him. Yeah. I bet it was Brian or Kyle. That's my guess.
Well, how long did it take you to build the pedal with Karen and with Karen and
Grant?
It's getting that I'm getting late.
Grant,
it's only 10 o'clock, man.
Well, when you were up at, let's see, I went to work at 5 o'clock this morning.
Okay.
It took 3 hours, but that was because we had a lot of conversation in between everything, and he was really, really holding my hand with every little detail of soldering. Like, oh, here's how I hold the tip against, this part, and like I pull away like this special way when I do it, and like he's very particular with every single little detail of assembly. And so he told me that it takes him about 10 minutes to do it, but but when he's showing someone, it takes 3 hours because of how much explaining he does with every little thing. That I walked away with a ton of knowledge from that. Like, I don't understand how to design a pedal, but I could definitely work in a factory, like
putting them together,
assembling them now. You know,
who was hiring? I think Keeley was hiring the other day. It's one of those companies was like looking to add a bunch of techs and assembly people. I saw an ad. I was very tempted for a second. I was like, man.
JHS had a help wanted ad out. I want to say like 3 or 4 months ago, and I wasn't looking at it for me seriously, but I was like thinking because they had their price and stuff, their advertised. What's it called when you pay someone money?
Salary.
Their salary.
A wage?
The money. The wage.
The wage. Oh my god!
Ryan hasn't worked for anybody for a long time, so he forgets that word.
And I was like thinking about it, I was like, yeah, sounds like an all right job. Yeah, now that I think about it, now know what it takes, like, you know, like some, you know, a couple teen hour, you know, I can't talk anymore. I'm just totally trashed right now. I can't talk. I can't make words. I can't think straight. It's been hot here. It's been hot and humid.
COVID. It was warm. It was even warm. I live up in Oregon. It was warm today, actually, for us.
We're having like,
and you're in the garage, and you don't have air conditioner in there.
I don't. Well, I've got Gary, but it's not running right now. It would be too loud. So it's full temperature in here right now. I'm feeling pretty sticky.
Moist.
You're drippy with that reverb sweat.
Yeah.
Ew. I'm never coming back to your garage again.
I mentioned earlier in the podcast that I bought a couple more reverb pans. I had been talking to Steve about this. I wanted to do a video or swapping reverb pans and a couple amps to explore how it changes the sound, hoping to get a surfier, drippier sound out of a couple amps that I have. And I've discovered just how much more complicated reverb pans are than I thought they were, because I've always just swapped existing pans for different pans in like my Fender unit and stuff like that. I've been trying to find a different pan for the Harmony and for that for the mono price, and they use a completely different pan than I'm used to with completely different input impedance. And so I ordered a pan to try it out in there, and it doesn't help it at all. It actually sounds worse. So I threw about $40 into the wind, and I don't have a video that I'm going to make anymore. But it's very interesting. There might be a video there just to show off how interesting it is that those amps both have very short pans in them. And I ordered a long pan because I assumed that would be springier and surfier and drippier. But in reality, it's not. And I think it's very interesting that the amps have there's something about the circuit working with those small pans that give it the reverb that they have. And I'd probably have to experiment with dozens of pans to find the difference I'm looking for. And I'm not going to do that, you know?
Well, is it bigger the pan, the more area that it actually...
It's not just the spring, it's the circuit working with the pan.
Okay.
So it's, you know, it's tricky. You'd think that it would just be like, oh, you can swap out a pan and it'll sound different, but that's really not what's going on there. You can swap out pans of the same input impedance and explore different sounds. But I realized after researching it, like there's like 9 different classes of spring reverb, all with different input impedances and stuff like that. And it's a lot more complicated than I thought it was going to be. That's for sure. And I'm not going to throw $40 each at a dozen different pans to try to just experiment and figure this out. I think I'm just going to be happy with the pans that are in the amps.
I think this was years ago when I was looking into this. I think if you're just only looking at Fender amps, you can there's like a lot of different options for, you know, short tank, long tank. And the old PV Classics were that way, because I think the PV Classics used very similar tanks to the PV tanks, or to the Fender tanks rather. But But yeah, when you were sending me, you're like, yeah, my Fender has like an 8 ohm output in whatever, and this Harmony one has a 800 ohm output. I was like, yeah, that's not going to work.
No, I was trying to find different pans for the Supro, the Monoprice, and the Harmony. Like trying those 3 different ones. The Monoprice actually will take a bunch of different stuff. It'll take the Fender pan. But it doesn't sound springier. It doesn't sound drippier. It's a circuit issue. The Supro and the Harmony, the Supro requires an 800 ohm input impedance reverb pan, which is very different from the 8 ohm input impedance of the Fender. Yeah. And then the Harmony requires like a 1280 ohm input impedance or something like that. Like, it's wild,
and it's just all about, like you're saying, like it's matching a tank to whatever the circuit is,
right?
And so they've got. I didn't know that until you posted that. It makes sense to me.
Because I've just dicked around with so many Fender pans over the years, like Fender reverbs. I was just like, oh, they just all use it's just a different lengths of springs and it's the same components, but no, it's not at all.
Yeah. How many people we got in the chat right now? Do you know?
There's 68 people
67,
68.
I'm given that I'm at work and I have not had food in about 9 hours. I'm thinking maybe we do about 15 more minutes. So if anyone's got Tender Stems, hi Tender Stems he's in the disc. She, they are in the Discord. Seeing some Discord folks. Do you still have the Anasounds reverb?
I don't. And that was one where you could swap out pans really easily, but it was such an unconventional sounding circuit to begin with. Actually, the Supro amp, when I swapped in a Fender tank on it, it did the thing that the Anasounds does, where it actually turned in the spring pan into a distortion.
Interesting.
It made the whole amp more distorted and more quiet because it became a clipping section because the input impedance was so mismatched. And that was part of the Anasounds element kind of vibe, is that there's a switch you could flick and it would turn the pan into a clipping section. Justice, stop sending me money.
I did want to throw out 2 things. One, Blacktooth Fox says, good to see you all. He's in the UK, 6 a.m. over in the UK.
Wow.
We need to hit up the Guitar Nerds and figure something out, because the last Guitar Nerds quiz, I think I would have won that one.
Ooh.
We need to figure that out. We need to do a 60 cycle hum cross collabo with the Guitar Nerds to do a Guitar Nerds quiz where
they always act like it's impossible for us to join on in their show, or vice versa, because of the time difference. It's like, I've done stuff European.
Blake from the Tone Mob was on the latest episode. So it's really just about, finding for you and for Blake and, doing 100% online work. I think your schedules are a lot more flexible.
I'm down.
I kind of got to do a weekend, but I'm also down to, since they're not doing video, I'm down to call in at midnight, and maybe I need to get some gin skis to hang with Joe Branton. I don't know. But do something with that. But to come full circle, I'm not going to come full circle yet. Hey, Sassy, what's up, man? It's been a long time since we've hung out. I'm doing all right. I'm surviving. I survived. Is this again same joke? Was this podcast a meeting that should have been an email? I don't know.
It definitely could have been an instant message.
Well, this podcast has always just been an instant message. And then I was gonna say, man, Robert, like you've upgraded that backdrop, man.
Oh my gosh!
I feel like the last time we had you on a live hang, you're usually just hanging out on your couch.
Well, I was usually using my phone and everything like that. So,
I feel like
my
this is
mom,
the first time we've had you in an office or whatever the hell you got
this
now.
is basically my work. When I have to telework, I'm in my office here, and my wife is full-time teleworking as well right now. But my mom is actually with us. She's getting ready to have some major surgery next week, and she's got a convalescent with us. So she was in the living room. So I figured, okay, I'll just move into the office, and plus, of course, the laptop camera is a lot better than the phone. But
oh man,
I just make sure I keep it down.
If my office looked like that, I would never see Ryan in person again.
Well, I don't think I'm going to be able to do my background blue. Yeah, you like my little effects, huh?
Yeah, that's very cool. Very cool. I wanted to. A StreamYard doesn't have the capabilities like we use Teams a lot at work.
Same here.
And Teams just kind of does the thing where it uses whatever your focus is on your camera to figure out what's in the front, and then everything behind whatever the main focal point is, it considers background, so you can just insert backgrounds. So what we wanted to do originally with this, I had Ryan send me a couple pictures of the studio, and just I was going to use that as my background, and then move my camera around so it looked like kind of a really bad green screen of me into the same room as Ryan. But unfortunately, StreamYard doesn't have, probably because it's a web app and not, a standalone application, it doesn't have the algorithm to allow you to do that.
Probably the $49 one instead of the $29 one. But yeah, my boss uses a beach scene for his on the background of his teams and stuff.
I can do from my side. I can do backgrounds. Let's see if I can make it like I can do brick wall.
Ooh.
Well, because you have the blue screen.
You have the blue. You have the blue screen behind you. I guess maybe I
do Windows 97.
Oh my god! Oh
Lord!
I've got a tie-dye here.
I've just got a white wall behind me, so it doesn't want to do anything with it. This is actually with the green screen turned on. Nothing changed. So that's fine.
And now Ryan with the weather.
Yeah, and like I said, maybe we got a few more minutes. If anyone's got any other questions they want to get in,
drop it on us.
What's a hot take?
I don't see any other questions popping up.
All right. See, no.
I think everyone wants to go to bed.
You mentioned this earlier, Robert. We got to figure out a time. Ryan will have to figure out logistically how he wants to organize this.
It's going to be tough because you got Karen or Grant. Grant wants to be in on it.
I know Grant wants to be in too.
And how you set up maybe a laptop or something like that, the camera pointing to what we're doing, a phone listening to them telling us what we're doing. I don't know how it's all going to work out, but I have a 10 by 12 shed that I've got kind of like the table like Ryan has in his garage. It's not quite as long, but it's adjustable up and down. That's a decent workspace, but there's no air conditioning out in my shed, of course, but I've got fans, that it's like I said, it's a 10 by 12 barn style shed where I do all my work at, where,
I can only imagine the sound all those fans are going to make when you're trying to shoot this. Well, and all you're going to hear is bzzz.
Probably not as bad as you think, because a couple of those are those like Ryobi 18-volt battery heads that kind of hang up there or something.
We don't actually need to shoot it or film it. We're just doing an assembly. Robert is the one who won the charity auction for the Stevis and Burkhead kit. Is right here. This is Robert.
Was that actually the first one that you guys got, or
this is the one that was meant for me to assemble here? And I never got around to it. I never had the courage to actually do it. So the one that I assembled at Grant's is not as old as that one. So it is an early one.
And I take it Steve's is probably about the same age group, huh?
Oh yeah. Came in the same package as that one.
Yeah, so Ryan and I basically have 1 and 2. I don't the original 1 and 2. I don't know if they were numbered.
I don't know.
And then, so yeah, mine. I didn't. I've been trying to find a time. The thing is the way with my space and the schedules that my kids run. Basically, if I'm going to build a pedal, I'm going to have to build it between like midnight and 3 a.m. And I'm going to have all my equipment in there. All of my soldering gear, actually, and everything I use for soldering and whatever fits in a tote. It's pretty compact. I basically...
You guys need to pick like a Saturday or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you got a shed, Robert, then maybe what we need to do is figure out a Saturday and maybe push it off until... I hate to suggest this, but push it off until like November, December when it cools down a lot, because I left the building. I'd been inside my office from pretty much all day, and I left around noon to get in my car. But
you guys could do it here too. It's a garage, but
yeah. Well, then you're gonna have to run that AC the whole time. Maybe I don't know.
We wouldn't be filming. It's not.
We're just kind of hanging, having Ryan as kind of like technical assistance. I mean, I know Grant wants to be a part of that part too, but hey.
We could set the laptop up and just have Grant and use StreamYard to blow Grant in. If we're not recording it, then it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Set up one of the condensers or a couple. Throw an SM57 as an overhead mic, and we're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this up. I go to bed. Okay. I'm tired.
Yeah, I'm still in the office. I need to figure out what I'm doing for dinner. Everything's about to close, so I'm either going to In-N-Out or McDonald's, pretty much, or Jack in the Box. Oh, Jack in the Box sounds dope.
Get a bucket of those
sourdough breakfast sandwich or something like that by now.
I'm just gonna get like 10 tacos. No, that's a lot of tacos.
All right.
Okay, so guys cannot make words anymore.
I can't believe there's 55 people still watching this. You guys are troopers. Tune in next week. It'll probably be this again.
Yeah.
Because we've got to quarantine correctly. And make sure that I don't catch it from my wife and my kids don't catch it. So Steve,
you're going to get it from your wife.
I was going to say, unless you're sleeping downstairs, she's sleeping upstairs or something like that.
When she goes back for her follow-up test, I'll get tested too, just to make sure I'm not like a carrier or something.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be a bad thing.
No.
And when is Henry's first day of school?
It was Tuesday, and so he wasn't feeling well Tuesday. We dropped him off. I took her to go get tested. The next day, they're like, "Oh, you've got it." So we didn't take him to school the second day. He's had 1 day of school.
Wow.
And then we pulled him
Poor out. Kid. How's he going to survive?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
You say second grade?
Daddy, are you making videos today? Can I come watch?
I'm bummed out because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm finally going to get to have quiet half the day while I film, and now that's all gone.
Well, Edith is still around, so it's not
Ryan. It disappeared the day he was born.
It's like,
didn't they tell you at the window?
Smoke in my hands. It's all gone now.
Let me tell you, sometime around 45, maybe
when he's
50.
45.
No, when you're 45 or 50. Life calms down a little bit.
Well, I still got a 3-year-old too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm like, let's see, I'll be 49 when my youngest turns 18, but she's not going anywhere, so that one's a lifer. And even my older kid, I'll be 43 when she turns 18, but I don't know if she's going anywhere either. She's just that kind of kid. But she just started. She started middle school. One of her classes is computer science. She's very like artsy.
Oh god!
Like she likes doing these different simulation games. But I'm kind of excited because she's taking both art in school and computer science, and I've kind of like told her like, hey, you stick with that computer science, and you can take all this weird stuff you like to draw, it's not weird. She likes to draw dragons. That's her thing, is dragons. I'm like, you can take some of those drawings you're making and make a video game. Like that's the whole point of computer science.
Isn't that kind of the graphic design like you do? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, she's using.
She's good. She's really good.
She's using some basic art programs, and she's done some stuff that like legitimately. I told her, I was like, if you weren't 12 and I didn't want to like expose you to this, like what my wife did, just a black and white sketch, and then on the program on the iPad that my daughter uses, and then she colorized it, and I had looked at it, and my wife actually posted it, and some people were straight up like, "How much?" I'm like,
what?
This is a 12-year-old. Like, yeah, how much? And I told her, I was like, legitimately, like, you could do that. Like, you could post this on Reddit and be like, if you sketch something, I will colorize it, and people will pay you for it. But I'm like, you're 12, so I don't want to try to deal with that right now. And also, Kevin,
you don't want to be a conservatorship.
But maybe I should. Maybe I could find a bigger house. Maybe I can move out sooner if she did that.
Get her a DeviantArt account.
She already has one.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah. All right,
Kids
guys.
today in the technical stuff.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Glad we can
take
do
care.
this.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys did it again. I kind of missed
We'll do it
this
again
stuff.
next week.
And no shirts were removed in the making of this thing.
I think that's what I said prior in the very beginning while we were waiting. I think we were about a half an hour out or something like that. And I know I saw Sassy said, "I'll be back." And I said, "Yes, I'll be back too. Please don't ask to take shirts off."
It was a fun time. We all had fun.
Yes, we did.
We had booze. We had fun. We had seasons in the sun.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Take care,
Stay
guys.
grounded.